continue to make a bunch of deals. All in all, the Jets have a brand new 2026 draft class that we will discuss. As always, the Jets Collective is presented by Prize Picks. BT, Rich, how we feeling? Rich, you were at the facility, so I can't even imagine what it was like in real time watching all the craziness unfold in night one.
Yeah, I mean, we're like a lot of the spectators. You know, we have a massive TV set up in the press room, and we're just sitting there watching the picks come off. And at the end of the night, the Jets officials, you know, Muji and Aaron Glenn, they come down and they talk to us. So it's a lot of waiting around, like folks are doing at home in front of their TVs. So that's, you know, they feed us very well. I think I gained a few pounds over the 3-day span, but we'll have to start working it off now. But it was good. It was a really cool experience.
I think it was very obvious the Jets had a clear feel pretty good about what Muji, and we've talked about this. I think we all have, maybe varying degrees in terms of confidence, but we all look at the early returns for Muji as very good. So they had a couple of things they had to do, a couple of spots they had to address, a couple of unconventional things which will hit. But the energy right now for the Jets is through the roof. Now, it doesn't mean that these people will be right, but people who cover the draft, and that's their only job, everybody said the Jets crushed it, and I agree.
Well said. Well said. And I think if you're a Jet fan, even if you're the most negative Jet fan in the world, even if you're someone who wanted, let's say, Arvell Reese instead of David Bailey, you can't argue with the player they got. I mean, they got the guy who was the most productive college football pass rusher. And some of the other moves they made, I mean, a Jet draft that features 2 pass catchers going in the first round. Rich, correct me if I'm wrong. That's never happened before. So there was real history made from that standpoint, real history made with the Jets having 3 first-round picks for only the 3rd time in franchise history. A lot of history was made in that first night alone.
Yeah, it's the first time in 57 years that a team drafted a wide receiver and a tight end in the first round. So go figure that. I mean, I think you have to go back to like 1969 or something like that with the Rams and 49ers did it that year. So that was unusual. I think we talked about all those players, Bailey, not a surprise. I thought that was a good pick. I kind of had a feeling they were going to go Bailey. I think if I had my druthers, I would have taken Reese, but I totally understand the pick. It's the premium position. It's the value. That's why they took it. I mean, Reese goes 5 to the Giants. They're playing him at an inside linebacker. So the Jets drafted Bailey because he is an edge rusher. Next to quarterback, edge rusher is the most valuable position. So positional value and college production were the main reasons they took him.
And college winners. I mean, that's the theme here. All these guys, really, with the exception of really Clemson.
Klubnik, yeah.
Yeah, Clemson, pretty much everybody won at a very high level, so that doesn't automatically equate to bringing that winning to the pro level, but it's certainly a good start. And the other thing, too, I remember saying this on my show, I mean, all the drafts that I've watched as a Jets fan, there's always like one guy from some small school that I never saw play. I think every Jet fan, even if you flipped on college football, like in the most passing manner, you saw every one of these dudes play. So it's like familiarity, which is fun.
Yeah, that's a great point, BT. And just, you think back to how the night was playing out. So after the Bailey pick at 2, the Jets are sitting there at 16. Your guy, Casey Concepcion, by the way, was on the board. But we didn't think that Mekhi Levin was going to be there. We certainly didn't think that Omar Cooper was necessarily going to be there. And the Jets take Kenyon Sadiq, who I know you were very high on, BT. But, Rich, you were the first, I think, in the Jet media space to even bring up the fact that you heard rumblings that the Jets really liked Kenyon Sadiq. You didn't think he'd be there when push came to shove. He is there. So kind of walk us through in real time what you were thinking when Sadiq was there. So was Mekhi Levin. So was Omar Cooper. And obviously the Jets took a tight end at number 16.
Actually, I have a funny story. This happened in the press room before the Sadiq pick. So my editor in Bristol, Connecticut was texting. He texts every year. He just texts me the Jets pick. He gets it right from the league. So as soon as the pick is submitted, I get the text. We're not allowed to tweet it out because we're not allowed to tip the picks, but I get the Bailey pick right away. And so then there's a long space between 2, and we're into the teens now. All of a sudden, he texts me, "Wow," with like 10 W's. And so I'm like, "What?" And then I texted him, "What?" And he texted me back, "Ty Simpson." And I announce in the press room, everyone's around the TV. I go, guys, I think the Jets just traded up for Ty Simpson. And every press room, I created some false hysteria in the press room. And then he texted me back. He goes, no, the Rams. And so for a fleeting moment there, we had thoughts of the Jets trading up for Ty Simpson. In hindsight, that was never a possibility. The Sadiq pick, look, I would have gone Mekhi Lemon there. He ends up going 4 picks later to Philadelphia. He had some bad interviews that turned off some teams, maybe the Jets as well. But the Eagles are a really good organization. They thought enough of him to take him at 20. I like Sadiq. To me, he's boom or bust. He's either going to be great or he's not going to develop. Limited college production. First receiver, I'll just throw this stat out. First tight end in 15 years to go in the first round and have less than 1,000 yards in career receiving in college. So they're basing it all on the measurables, the height, the weight, the speed. That's what that pick was.
I didn't want Mekhi Lemon. They talk about some of the bad interviews. I mean, his post-draft interview wasn't exactly a real stabilizing one either. I mean, I don't know what that guy's doing. What's really happened here, guys? The Jets have gone from a mundane, pedestrian, average speed team. Jets are one of the fastest offenses in football. Now, even if Sadiq is not what, we all hope he will become, when you run a 4-3-4, you got to pay attention to that dude, which opens up space for Garrett Wilson, who's the sub 4-4, for Breece Hall, who's the sub 4-4. I mean, you look around across the board, the Jets have some dudes that can move. And now you really force the opponents to kind of pick a poison. And then if they go light, to try to stop that speed. Now Braylon Allen runs it down their throat and a little Isaiah Davis. It just opens up so many possibilities. But make no mistake about it, the Jets are electric fast all of a sudden. Jake, they are fast.
They added a ton of speed.
The one thing I would caution about Sadiq, and he is fast, sub 4.4 for a tight end. It's like the fastest 40 time in the last 23 years, for a tight end prospect. So the guy can run. However, he is fairly new to the position. He did not play tight end in high school. He didn't start playing until college. And he really only started 1 year. So it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for him. I caution fans, yes, he's got a really high ceiling, but don't expect him to be Brock Bowers as a rookie. There's going to be a growing period, a transition period. He had 6 drops last year, working on the hand-eye coordination a little bit. I love his potential, but it might take a little bit of time to get there.
Yeah, and look, the way I looked at it in real time, I like Sadiq as a prospect a lot. I just didn't want the Jets to be the guinea pigs for taking him when there's so much history, not even just Jet history, but just about, hey, do you take a tight end that high? Not everyone's going to be Brock Bowers. Not everyone's going to be Loveland. So I was against the Jets doing it, with the caveat being I never thought in a million years, Rich, they'd be in position to then get a player that I would have been totally fine with at pick 16 and Omar Cooper Jr. Now I'm really excited because not that there's less pressure on Kenyon Sadiq, but it feels like the Jets are going to step into the 21st century and try and actually have a modern offensive scheme with 12 personnel, having Mason Taylor play inline, and Sadiq could be a matchup nightmare as a power slot. I'm just excited to see what they could do now. But getting Omar Cooper and getting the 5th-year option on him that Muji talked about, and only having to trade a 5th-round comp pick to move up from 33 to get to 30, I thought that was the best move of the night for the Jets, and it kind of solidified my feeling that night 1 was a major success for this team.
Well, the reason why they traded up is because they thought Buffalo was going to take Cooper at 31. And so they anticipated that was their intel. And it's funny how as soon as they traded up and took him, Buffalo traded out.
Yep.
Buffalo trades out with Tennessee. And so that's why the Jets did the Cooper deal. They did it because I think he was rated very close to Sadiq on their draft board. And also they wanted the 5th-year option, so they wanted to get back in. Now they did lose, like you said, the 5th-round comp pick. They lost pick 33, which is a valuable pick. If you want to trade it, on day 2 of the draft,
unless you're the Niners, Rich, who took a guy that never should have went at pick 33, and they're getting.
Yeah, no, I like the pick. I mean, in fact, I was just looking before we went on. We at ESPN we use the Scouts Incorporated, a scouting group, that evaluates talent. The Jets got 3 of the top 24 players on the Scouts Inc. draft board with Bailey, Sadiq, and Cooper. Cooper was 24th on their draft board. So anytime you can get 3 players out of the top 24 in a draft, that's pretty good.
And you extend that out with Pons. I know we'll get to him as well. I mean, I love what they did there. So I don't know if he's top 40 or top 45, but he was certainly somebody who was incredibly highly thought of and very well might be one of the best players from the draft. Rich, do us a favor. You said something interesting, how the Jets had some intel with the Bills. They might take Cooper. Can you explain, even if it's